Quiet, yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our Government Relations and Communications Committee meeting for, let's see, where are we? Tuesday, September 11th. I'd like to introduce again our teacher representative, Amy McNally, and my co-chair, Chuck Madden, committee member, Sarah Dunn. I think Lydia will be along shortly. I think our student, did you ever hear back from our student?
Yes, Abby had RSVP that she was going to be able to make it tonight, so potentially she could come later, but I did hear back that she would be here.
Okay, well, we hope that Abby can...
Is that our Abby?
Yes, our Abby.
Good.
Our Abby, we have a new student rep starting this evening.
What's Abby's last name?
Edicula, right? Yeah, so hopefully Abby will find her way, and Lydia's just arrived.
Are we on?
So we're on, yes, welcome. This is really sort of informal to be doing it this way, but we're on. And with those introductions, I would like to turn it over to our administrative liaison, Mr. Petiti, to give us any admin remarks.
Sure, I have three brief remarks, topics. First is just a quick update on the planning for the legislative breakfast. So and looking at the dates, the potential dates for this, we realized it wasn't really feasible to get this in before the elections in November. So we're looking more January, February for this event, and for those of you who may not have been on it yet, I don't think you've been to one yet, Ms. Dunn, right? You weren't there last year?
We had not a district one. We had one. We had a different one. There was one down at the DCIU.
Basically we bring in some local representatives to sit down and have kind of an informal discussion about topical educational issues. And so we're looking at January, February for that now, so it gives us time to plan for it, and we can discuss logistics as we get closer to that time frame. I also wanted to mention to the committee that we're now streaming live on YouTube, as you may all have learned previously, but this is our first meeting as a committee live streaming to YouTube, so wanted to quickly mention that. And lastly, I wanted to acknowledge the service of a student intern that we welcomed to the communications department this year. I happen to have one slide here where I can give you a little show what she was doing here with us over the summer, and then I could give you a little briefing on how that went, if I can find it, of course. Where are you? So there she is, in our office. All right.
And her name is?
Her name is Amanda Megan. She is a senior this year, and we were so appreciative to the Radnor Educational Foundation and the Radnor Alumni Council for working with them again for the second year to bring in a student intern through their internship program. And Amanda was just fantastic. She did so many great things for us, from writing news releases to taking photos of various district events to creating web pages for us to monitoring the news on Radnor from day to day. Just incredible effort and help. And you can see we treated her to a little cake as an appreciation gift there in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. And I hope that she also learned some things. So thank you so much, Amanda, for your time.
Would Amanda feel comfortable coming up and saying a word or two about what her experience was like?
Amanda here.
You share some of her communication skills that she developed while she was...
Good point. You want to say that?
Yeah, no, it was a wonderful experience this summer. I really appreciated all of the different kind of skills that I got to learn. And it was just wonderful, the people I met, the places I got to go, and the things I got to do, and it was a fantastic experience that I will cherish. Thank you.
That's terrific.
Thank you.
Amanda, thank you so much. And
thank you, Amanda.
Hopefully more students will join the internship program. I know there's a nice core of them doing interesting things, and it's a wonderful program. Hopefully we're going to hear about in more detail in the not too distant future. So does anybody have any questions about the administrative remarks? No? Okay. Everybody know where to find our YouTube archived video meetings?
Yes, actually I have them.
How about that?
Our channel is right here, so you just, right now the best way to get there is to search Radnor School in YouTube, and you can select our channel and get right to our videos. Okay.
Great. Thank you very much. It's different from MediaCast already. Okay, so with that, we will move into the public comment section of our meetings. The guidelines are over there on the table. And we welcome public participants. Good afternoon, Mrs. Sherry.
Good afternoon, Ms. Goldman.
Thank you.
I had asked some questions at the last June 19th meeting that I didn't hear responded to. One was, is the leadership satisfied with 30 minutes for the meeting that have been allocated? That would be the board that would be responding to that. How will the Communications 903 AR in the news media relations sections be enforced? Which sort of requires staff members, students, I guess parents, to kind of run their information by the either superintendent or the director of communications before they share them. So I'd like to hear how that's going to be enforced. And I wondered who made the decision that answering questions is better online rather than a direct response at the meeting. Should this happen, which it hasn't happened as of yet, it should include the name of the administrator that's responding to the question, that's taking responsibility for the answer. And will it be posted in advance of the meeting so that follow-up questions can be considered? Because oftentimes there's a month delay. And as I said before, it's so much easier to me to be able to respond to questions that you know the answer at the meeting, or at least have maybe a short conversation so that something can be cleared up then, rather than delaying this for a month. It seems like we're talking to people from Mars, and we're sending out a question, and then a month later, we might get the answer. At that point, it's not maybe relevant. You kind of forget what the question was. Finally, not finally, but what is the opinion of committee members about the suggestion of setting up a joint meeting with the Board of Commissioners on the topics of traffic, the Radnor Trail, artificial turf, tri-party agreement, stormwater, orphan properties? This list keeps getting longer, I think. And just a few quick comments. On the RTSD website, under Our District about RTSD, there is a section entitled Points of Pride. The only points of pride listed are rankings by other organizations like Niche, School Digger, Newsweek, U.S. News and World Report. Are rankings the only points of pride worthy of being listed on this page? Also, why is there a list of achievement data from 2015? Doesn't the district have more recent information? And my final point is, under district and school safety, under that web page, what safety does the district provide to students at recess, during fire drills, playing sports, or getting on and off buses? Which, I think is a consideration, because I guess school bus stops could be dangerous because people use vehicles now to, unfortunately, cause injury to others. So I think that's important. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public comment today? Okay, seeing none, I would like to move us to the approval of minutes portion of our meeting. Committee members, does anybody have any issues with the minutes to bring to light, or you're ready to approve them? Yes? I have Ms. Solomon? Okay, so consider the minutes approved. And with that, we will move into our first agenda item, which is upcoming Pennsylvania legislative activity. Education committee meetings going on in Harrisburg in the near future. Mr. Petiti?
Yeah, so I think what we're going to do is I'll mention the House and Senate in session days, and then I'll throw it back to you to go over the Education Committee. And
Oh, excuse me. Could this be our student representative who's arrived? Because I recognize her mom. Hi, Jennifer. Would you like to join us? Throwing you right into the fire here.
Representative sign.
We're going to take a pause and let you introduce yourself. Or Michael, do you want to do the introduction?
Oh, yeah, sure.
Amy, will you hand her your mic so that she can introduce herself? The students are the celebrities here, so
Tell who you are.
I'll leave that to Mr. Petiti. What would you like to do?
Hi, yes, this is our student representative, Abby. Is it Idicula, sorry.
Here, Amy, could you have her push the, okay.
So yeah, she comes to us to help us out as a student rep this year, and we thank you and toss it over to you to say hello, introduce yourself, maybe say what you're interested in, what was your interest in coming and joining us here on the committee.
Hi, my name is Abigail Adicula, and I'm a junior at Radnor High School. I think I first started getting into this. I've always actually wanted to help out with like student government, I think, but I've never really felt comfortable with, getting up in front of people making speeches, because really like doing stuff that is just kind of more of a popularity contest. So I really wanted to do something where I could help and like kind of communicate between the school board and between our own school and like help out with kind of like our own student government and things like that.
Wonderful. Well, Abby, we did our introductions, but for your benefit, I think it's appropriate to do them briefly again so you know who you're sitting here with. To your left is Amy McNally, who serves as our, Mrs. McNally, I guess, who serves as our teacher representative.
I'm Lydia Solomon, I'm president of the board.
Nice to meet you too.
Chuck Madden, board member.
Hi.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Amy Goldman, co-chair of the committee with Mr. Madden.
And I'm Sarah Dunn. I'm also relatively new to the committee and the board, so nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Okay, well, wonderful. And just so you know, don't feel any pressure. You can sit back, observe. If when we turn to comments from the committee on any items we're discussing, you want to contribute something, feel free to. If you don't, that's totally fine too.
Okay.
We're just happy to have a student face and voice at the table with us as we discuss these things, because they're all about the students anyway. So welcome. Okay, so turning back to the committee, we're talking right now about the upcoming legislative committee meetings for the House and Senate Education Committees in Harrisburg.
So the House generally will be in session September 12th, 13th, 24th, 25th, and 26th, October 1st, 2nd, 9th, 10th, 15th, 16th, and 17th, and November 13th. And the Senate will be in session September 24th, 25th, 26th, October 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 15th, 16th, and 17th, and November 14th. And I know Ms. Goldman wanted to discuss a little bit about the education committees in particular and some bills that were being discussed in those upcoming meeting on September 25th. So I'll toss that over to you, Ms. Goldman.
Okay, so we pretty much follow what's going on in the Senate and House Education Committee meetings for the most part. And when some of the education-related bills come out of those committees and move into either the House or Senate and those larger chambers, then we will usually follow that legislation at that point. But there's lots of stuff that gets introduced, and much of it never sees the light of day outside of its committee where it originates. So the Senate Education Committee at this point is the only committee of the two that is holding meetings at this point in these remaining days of the session that Mr. Petiti just mentioned. So the Senate Education Committee will be meeting on September 25th, and they have two items on their agenda at this point. One is a bill and one is a resolution. The bill that they're going to be, I'll start with the resolution actually. The resolution is designed to direct the Joint State Government Commission to study the College and University Student Vaccination Act. And the resolution would ask that commission to conduct a study of the College and University Student Vaccination Act to determine immunization rates for meningitis, examine if any institutions of higher education have modified their policies to reflect medical recommendations, and evaluate potential measures to ensure a higher voluntary immunization rate for meningitis. I suspect because colleges have seen an increase in the incidence of meningitis. So that's one thing that's going to be discussed on September 25th, and Mrs. McNally and I are shaking a little bit with our children in college right now. Right. Right. And the other item on the Senate Education Committee for right now, September 25th, is actually a bill that came out of the the entire House of Representatives in Pennsylvania. It passed in April, I think 195 to nothing. And this bill's title is Sun Protection Measures for Students. And it's interesting because apparently, according to the CDC, over-the-counter medications need to be administered in schools with the permission of parents and medical professionals. And that makes it more difficult for a student to come to school with sunscreen and self-administer the sunscreen, or have somebody in the nurse's office or a teacher administer sunscreen should a student need that. So this bill, believe it or not, it may seem, I don't want to use the word silly, but that's what comes to mind, or, you know, because it's kind of obvious that this shouldn't need legislation. But clearly, the momentum of having it pass 195 to nothing out of the House of Representatives and then move into the Senate Education Committee and being discussed this soon after the summer recess means that it will likely, if we had to guess, right, sail through the Senate and arrive on the governor's desk to sign. So I just thought, I don't want to go into much more detail on the bill. We can certainly post information about it. It's Senate bill, it's House Bill 1228. But just wanted to give you a little sense of what the Senate Education Committee would be discussing on September 25th. Did I say disgusting? It's not, there's nothing disgusting about it. And the House Education Committee meeting has no meetings scheduled so far for those session dates. So does anybody have any questions, commentary about either of these, the resolution or the bill? Nope. Okay.
I don't have a question about those, but, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. Did I get on?
It's on, yeah.
But no, I think it's just the microphone is slid down. I wondered, in the context of the next item that we're going to talk about, how does, and maybe Chuck knows the answer to this from your other rules, how does PSBA feel that the Senate and House of Representatives have handled kind of their key issues from last year? I know going into this year they had a platform, a legislative platform. Have we?
Well, actually,
is that too deep a question?
No, it's not. But actually, in this booklet, which outlines the work of the Delegate Assembly, when you get it, it reviews what their legislative platform has been previously and whether or not they've made any progress in that legislative platform. So. That would.
I'll make sure I get a copy.
That's sort of the brief answer to all of that. But yes, I mean, that's why they hone in on some very specific and a limited number of legislative platform topics, so that they can devote their advocacy resources to those topics and try to make some inroads. And you'll see that they have. So one of them, of course, was the Keystone is the graduation requirement, and we now know that that has been delayed again till the 2021 school year. So things like that, yes, they have made inroads. Not all the work is done, but to some extent. Any other questions, concerns, comments?
So are the rest of the board members going to receive this, or just our delegates?
The way this Delegate Assembly, and Sarah's going to, this is our next item on the agenda. Sarah's going to give a high-level overview of this. But this booklet at the moment was sent to the board secretary, the assigned delegates, which are Chuck, Sarah, and myself. Andrew was sort of a late replacement for me.
I thought Andrew was on there.
Well, he's a late replacement for me. It may we may have crossed in the mail. And I believe that it was also sent to board leadership. Now, if you haven't gotten it, that would be something to bring up. And the entire contents of the booklet, I believe, will be posted on the PSBA website any day. We're kind of surprised it hasn't been posted yet, but it will be available for everybody. And I think as soon as it's posted, it will be then distributed to the rest of the board via a printout or just the link for those people who want only view their materials electronically. Does that answer that question, Lydia?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. And with that, then let's move to item 4.2, which is an overview of this Delegate Assembly that we've been referring to.
So, and as I alluded to, my packet hasn't come yet in the mail. I assume it's coming, and I'll get a copy if it doesn't come soon. It's not on the website. I just checked again this afternoon to see if it had been posted. But given that, so there were some board members who asked us to make sure that we briefed them on what the legislative agenda was for PSBA this year, so that they understood what the delegates would be going to vote for on behalf of the board. So rather than talk about it in a session where most of those people who asked aren't here, we're going to bring it up at the full board meeting. I'll just give a quick summary there. But what I can tell people here as a preview is that the three key legislative priorities that PSBA has set for next year, or would like to set, they're going to get everyone to vote on them, are ensuring that we have safe and secure schools, making sure that we have meaningful charter school reform, so some kind of enactment to reform that system, and then finding some measures to help Pennsylvania resolve the pension funding crisis. For people who aren't aware of that, and I know a number of our regulars are very aware of this, the teacher and administrator, well, teacher pensions in the state of Pennsylvania are very underfunded, and it takes up a significant portion of a number of districts' budgets to keep up with putting money into that. And it sounds like PSBA is looking for the state to try and alleviate some of that so that it doesn't fall to all the districts to do that, given that the historical problems that created this issue are not really the district's fault. But we will have, I mean, we can bring that up and we can have questions, but I'll certainly make sure that the rest of the board has this. I'll work with Patty to make sure everybody has a copy of it before the next meeting, so if they have questions or concerns, they can raise them in full board meeting.
Because Sarah is our new PSBA board liaison. So just for, she's speaking with authority because she now has this official role as the PSBA board liaison, and thank you very much for that. And maybe you want to tell people that what.
Oh, so for people who are wondering, there's actually, so PSBA is the Pennsylvania School Boards Association. It's not, I don't know that I would call it just a lobbying group, but it's an organization, association of school boards. They actually do a lot of training. They do great new school board member training and education. There's a lot of online trainings that we can take through them, and they provide a lot of education and information, but they also have an arm that's responsible for helping us to press certain educational issues with the government. And then once a year, there's actually a delegate assembly, which I think it's up to 3 members of each school board throughout the state get together in Harrisburg, Hershey, and we meet and discuss. It's actually 3 days. You can go for the full time. It's a lot of education again, and networking and meeting and understanding kind of issues that cross districts. And then I guess the final day is when we actually vote on our legislative platform for what the PSBA will push with the government on everybody's behalf.
And those platform issues are actually compiled from districts. Each district has a window of opportunity. Each school board has a window of opportunity to submit ideas for the legislative platform. They're then reviewed by the PSBA platform committee, and whatever makes it out of committee then is presented at the delegate assembly, and the delegates, the school board delegates who are there, vote on those platform topics for the upcoming year.
Right.
So this year's delegates are Sarah, Chuck. I was going to go, but I have given my place to Andrew, and it's all very exciting that we have 3 members of our board representing Radnor at the annual conference. So thank you very much for that. And does anybody have any questions, or how are you feeling over there, Abby? Good? Okay. So there was a student showcase. Remember, Mr. Petiti was the chaperone last year. 2 years ago. He's still recovering. But no, it was really good. Students went, actually, Abby, and there was like a chance for students to actually put on a mock school board meeting. So, and they met each other. There were students there from all across the state, and it was really neat. Some of your fellow students went. So anyway, with that, if there are no further questions, I will mention new business. Is there any new business?
Actually, I'd like to just circle back on a comment made earlier and call the public's attention to where those questions are actually located and answers on the board docs website, since they were posted just prior to this meeting. you can go under library, and the first thing you're actually going to see is a chart where
Michael, can I interrupt you? And can you actually, just for people who are going to the school district website,
Okay.
can you show me
Yeah,
how
I
they
could-
would find it from there? Because I think board docs is something a lot of us may know how to get into, but not everybody.
Absolutely.
So if
the-
you're a parent, and this is when
There's
you
a
search
couple ways
RTSD,
to get
that's
to
where you
board
start.
docs. If you go to our homepage, you can either click on this school board down here and go right there by clicking here, which is what I typically do. Or you can go under school board and click board docs. And then that's going to take you to a kind of a disclaimer page, which at some point we're going to just quickly redirect people and bypass this page, but we still want to let them know what board docs is before we move them along. Then you click here, and then you move to the board docs page. So once you get to board docs, you go up to library, or depending upon when it's posted, for the meeting, it'll be on this home page. I can get back there somehow. Is it right here? Here we go. So you see it right up here under documents. And you click that, and then that will take you to a table which shows you the month up here. Oh, it's actually in the center, August. And then all the corresponding public questions that came in and their answers. So this is, as we had noted prior to launching this, we were going to post it prior to the first group of meetings of the following month, which means at some point today, and it was up prior to this meeting.
That's great.
Okay. All righty. Thank you for that demonstration. Let's move to public comment. Is there any, did you have new business?
Yeah, I have a couple new business.
Oh,
This thing works. There we go. Because I just want to, even if people do ask questions and we do have answers to the questions, I think it is appropriate to answer some that are not going to really cause a whole lot of issues. For instance, are we satisfied with the 30 minutes? I think if we need to use more time, then we can bump that up. It's my understanding. Is that correct?
I would defer to your board leadership about that.
That was my understanding. We have
That
a,
is not, I mean, this meeting is scheduled to be over in 3 minutes.
I do understand that, but I think if we have issues that need more time, then we should be able to move it forward. So if we can't, then I'm dissatisfied with that. If we don't have the ability or the flexibility to move it, if we need more time, then yes, I'm dissatisfied. If not, then I am satisfied. So I guess that would be the one thing that I have.
So are you saying, Chuck, that if we have the opportunity to schedule longer meetings?
If we need it.
If we needed to
Yeah,
go
yeah.
beyond the 30 minutes we've been given?
Yeah, if we need it. If we don't need it, then there's no reason to schedule beyond it. So it's more or less how much we need to do the business that we have at hand, I would think. That's all.
Okay.
And the joint meeting with the township commissioners, I think that's a good idea. I don't have a problem with that, but I think what we have to look at is, we do have a superintendent and they have a township manager, and those two gentlemen are paid to provide guidance. Not only that, that's their job, is to move us forward. So those two, we are fostering a communication between those two, and those are the two that actually are running both township and the school district. So,
Okay.
and they seem to be doing a good job.
Okay. All right. Great.
That's all I got.
That's all you have? Okay.
At this
Thank
point.
you very much for that. Public comment? Is there any public comment? Hi, Mrs. Spurtle.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Cindy Spurtle, Wayne. Comment on the answers to the questions. Thank you for posting them, but it would be appreciated if they weren't posted in the final hour. Is there a way that if you aren't able to post them, you could answer the questions in the meeting? Those that prepare for meetings are usually still in preparation since there are 5 committee meetings, members of the public that would like answers to those questions would be appreciated if they were posted on at an earlier date. Because I was able to find the page and it was blank yesterday.
Okay.
A question on, and I wasn't here at the beginning of the meeting, so if this was covered, my apologies. from the minutes from the August, July, June meeting, the status of the RTSD educational channel. The final comment in the notes from Mr. Petiti were that this study was announced in January and that they would be making progress over the summer. My question is, how is the study progressing, and is there a target date as to when this project will be completed? And just a comment again that, which I had made back in June, I still am in favor of a civics test for all students, not as a graduation requirement, but a very important requirement for their lives. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there any other public comment this evening? Oop.
Yes, Judy Sherry. I, too, checked the website a number of times to see if questions and answers were posted, and they were not. So I don't even know what time today they were posted, but it's not helpful to the public to be able to try. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to check to see when answers are going to be posted in this new approach to questions. Maybe the board should establish a time frame. I have to ask this in a question. Would it be a good idea for the board to establish a time frame for when these questions are going to be answered so that the public knows when to look online and can find the answers? And again, I would like to see if it would be possible to include the administrator or whoever answers the question with the answers, so someone's held responsible for the answers. That would be helpful. Finally, when the legislative breakfast, you talked about postponing them to January and February. I hope this time that you'll consider, again, to have them be a public breakfast so the public can be in attendance. I believe last year when you asked legislators, or maybe you can ask them this year, would they welcome the public to be a part of this process? So that, because I would like the board to answer the question of what one positive result came from a closed-door meeting, because I'm just not aware of any. And we've had a number of these breakfasts since I've been around, so thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other government relations? We are still in government relations, about to wrap up before curriculum. Is there any government relations communications committee public comment this evening, now that we have a nice full room? No? Okay, darn. All right, thank you very much, everybody. That'll conclude the September meeting, and we'll see you in October.
That was quick. We're just ready.